Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. Today is Thursday, February 17th. Fresh off the Super Bowl, fresh off the NFL season. It's been a long journey. It's been a great journey. It's been a fun journey, especially for me. I mean, if you hadn't noticed or haven't noticed or seen any of the news headlines or anything like that, the Los Angeles Rams are Super Bowl 56 champions, defeating the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20 final score. I'll just talk about that for a little bit right now, just to get it out of the way because it's just fresher in my mind. Overall, fun game, entertaining, kind of dull in the middle. I'll be honest with you, not a lot happened in the middle. A lot of it happening at more towards the beginning and the end. But overall, good Super Bowl. Thought it was, just great for me. Obviously, the Rams ended up winning. And just felt really nice to win one. And I know people are going to be like, well, Alex, you've been a fan for a minute. Yeah, I know that. I do seem like I feel like I'm just like hopping on the ship when it's, at its best part. Hopping on the cruise at the best location. But, to be fair, it does feel good. And I am aware that I'm not like the most loyal, I guess the most tenured fan. I understand that. But hopefully, with my new cream of the crop, fan base and fans coming in, and hopefully after the Super Bowl, we can build up more Rams fans all around the world, the country, especially, to make our voices heard. Because, LA Rams get a lot of crap about being the worst fans in the NFL. And, by the time you're listening to this, the Rams parade had already happened. And I will say this, I do think that was a bit weak, the showing for the LA, Rams fan base in LA during that parade. They had a parade in Disneyland, and then, after that, they had one in actual LA in the city. But, we've been here for 6 years, 5 years, 6 years, so it's just got to build back up. I mean, if you've seen the numbers of Dodgers fans, of Lakers fans, stuff like that, those fans really show up too. And sooner or later, eventually it will happen. They will migrate to become either Rams or Chargers. They'll have to choose, and we'll get there. So all this, talking about you guys have no fans. Well, we really don't have that many. I mean, I count myself as 15 fans. I would say that the amount of much I care about the team now. And it's they've grown on me. Their mentality, their quarterback, their style of play. It's all kind of grown on me. So I'm like, I made a right choice. I feel the love from that team, and I feel like I can only provide enough positivity and enough passion to continue that in Central California. I'm not from LA, I understand that, but you got to pick or choose. You got to pick LA or you got to pick San Francisco. I just picked LA. I've been there more times, been around that area more often than San Francisco. I enjoy that. I enjoy the teams more. I'm sorry, but that's just how it went, and I am here to the end. I mean, I don't see myself ever betraying the Rams unless they move to some other city, back to St. Louis or back to I'll probably support them there too. I'll probably still be a fan, but it just won't be the same. You know what I'm saying? It's just you support a team in a different state. I feel like that's always a little bit of a disconnect because you're not really part of that, the culture, the fan base that is actually, there, that have been the fans forever. You can't really, plan too many trips to go to their games unless you have so much time, unless you want to pay for plane tickets and all that. So, having a fan and a sports team that's in your state, granted it's 3.5 hours away, still, I much rather prefer that than going to St. Louis, Missouri or whatever to watch a game. I'm pretty sure the Rams fans there are also, feel some type of way of them leaving them because they were there for a while. They were there for a hot minute, and they just kind of went back 6 years ago. So it's I understand that's gonna suck too. Are you still an LA Ram? Do you become an LA Rams fan? How does that work? I imagine a lot of them don't really care about LA, the culture in LA, the people in LA, which I understand that, coming from somebody from St. Louis. I mean, why would you even care about that? it makes no sense to care. But, if you really love the team, if you love what they are, through thick and thin, and I know I've been through, I guess you could say, what's the good part of that, thick or thin? I would say thick, probably, but thick could also be, bad too. I guess I've been through the thick of it, or maybe the thin of it. I'm not sure. The good part of that saying, I've after 1 year of being a fan, I get a Super Bowl, so that's pretty nice. I already purchased the merch, be getting a hat and a T-shirt. Can't wait. And you know what I liked about that, though? I actually was kind of surprised about it, was how, like, after they won the Super Bowl, Matthew Stafford acted like he's been there before. He was, like, very calm, poised, collected. He was very, well-spoken right after he won, when he was getting interviewed and all that. So was Cooper Kupp and all that. But after, seeing him after the parade, when he got a little bit of drinks in him, is like, okay, now he's having some fun. But before that, it was still all business. But now, technically, the parade is still, I think, part of their contract if they do win or something, I think. But, obviously, they're just going to be having fun and, drinking and partying and all that and celebrating, which, I love to see. I truly do. I had a Super Bowl party, which was fun. Had some people over, barbecued a bit, barbecued some burgers, some hot links, had a bunch of other stuff. People brought chips, people brought dip, dessert, a lot of chips, which was kind of, I like them. Trust me, I like them, but it's like big variety, big selection, which I do appreciate, people having, thought and, what do people like? What do people enjoy? But yeah, it was fun, a lot of fun. I was the only Rams fan there, essentially, because, it's either that, it's Alex winning or whoever else they're up against wins. Usually it always goes everybody against me. So it's, it's part of being, I guess, that, that person in the friend group that always gets the attention. Well, I'm not really trying to. I just kind of end up getting it. And then other people just hating on what I enjoy, which is fine. I mean, they can do whatever they want. But just know that I'm going to be as, passionate as I possibly can and root for my team. And I was clapping, I was cheering, I was screaming. Everybody's like, why are you yelling? I'm like, why am I, what? Like, I'm yelling because I care. Well, you're just yelling. You're just here because you want to see me. Well, one, we're having a good time. We're, enjoying ourselves with all this food and football, but also you want to see me lose and in misery, I would assume, or you would prefer that other than me winning. And by the general feel after the Rams won, that's kind of what they were going for. So it's fine. It's cool. No shot at anybody. It's fine. I do the same thing sometimes. I root for people to lose because I enjoy their sadness, and it's not like it's like dear grim sadness like somebody passed. No, it's just your team loses. But you get over it within a day or two, and you're fine. You're back to it. Next season rolls on, you get positive again. But a lot of fun. I love Super Bowl parties. And it was just a lot of fun. And it all made me feel even better that the Rams won, actually, because, man, I was stressing during that game. I was quiet. I was just concerned about the game. When Odell Beckham Jr. went down, I was like, uh-oh, this is going to be bad, because I'm not the biggest Odell fan, but, he's been showing up in these past couple of games. He got that first touchdown from Matthew Stafford so easily. I was like, oh, yes, we got you. And then he, I think he actually did tear his ACL on that non-contact play, and you saw the replay after that. His knee just kind of buckled a little bit, and it's like, uh-oh, this could be bad. Usually with those plays, when nobody's around you, and his reaction to it just went down, grabbing his knee, and you can even see it, just like the motion of his knee just kind of like make that, buckle. I was like, oh, this is not good. Like, I'd be surprised if he came back out, like, because it looked very bad. And, a couple Joe Burrow got a sprained MCL during that tackle, I believe in the fourth quarter, and I was like, uh-oh, is he going to be out too? Like, uh-oh. I mean, like, this game had a lot of stars, right? Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Matt Stafford, OBJ, Cooper Kupp, Joe Mixon. It had a lot of stars, a lot of firepower and stuff like that. And just to see people going down one by one, I was like, oh, God. Is this going to be like a backup Super Bowl? Like, we just got to, I mean, they want to make the season longer. They want to make it, have more games. But eventually, if they ever want to make it, longer than let's say the NFL wants to make it so it lasts until March or something like that, which, they're going to try to do as much as they can, for the money. They got to add like at least another bye week for every team. Every team's got to get at least 2 bye weeks, or just the entire league just have one entire bye week. A bye week for your team and then a bye week for the league, just to give them a break, because this is the one sport that causes athletes have so many injuries that it can be so, it just derail a team, derail a season, derail players, derail like potential matchups in the future. It's just like you're gambling a lot with this sport, and they're just like how it could happen at a blink of an eye where somebody goes down, boom, they're out for the year, or boom, they're out for the entire, big chunk, where it's like they could have used that person to, play and make the playoffs and do well, but now they're gone. So it's like kind of all kind of fell through. So that's a little bit of a, I guess, not a tip or advice, but like if they wanted to extend it and make it longer, I would assume that they should add a bye week, or just like an entire league bye. Give us all a break, because it's not good when you don't have all your right players and when you don't have your stars or whatever. It's like, it's just, the quality is just not that good. Like, nobody's going to want to watch that. I mean, right? I mean, like, I wouldn't watch, Super Bowl with like, Tom Brady's in, he was having a good year, but, he went down with an injury that cost the entire season and all that, or maybe a receiver of that caliber or a running back. Like, you always hate when, like, players like Derrick Henry, when he went out for, like, half of the year, it's like, oh, shit. I mean, we're not going to be able to see Derrick Henry. He comes back, and then he's just like, probably not 100%, but maybe a little bit, ginger with his foot, and it's like, you never really see that full potential in the playoffs, at least this year. I mean, you have in the past, but like this year, it's like everything's kind of rolling for them in some sorts, and it's like we want to see that full potential, but injuries happen. I mean, there's just no way around it, unless we have some super freaking drugs that they shoot you up with, and you literally can't feel like your torn ACL. I mean, I doubt that's ever happened before, but shoot, I wouldn't rule it out in the future. Is it going to be FDA approved or whatever, league approved, bro? I don't know. That could happen. Anything to make money, anything for these guys to make more and more money. It's going to happen. Trust me. But that's not all we got at the Super Bowl. We got also a bunch of shit, bunch of products, bunch of stuff, bunch of commercials, which I thought were kind of weak this year, mainly because a lot of them were focused on crypto, shit like that. Got one too many. There's one for Salesforce with Matthew McConaughey, which was, looked cool at the beginning, but it's like, what is this for? I was like, is this crypto? If this is crypto, I'm going to be super, super mad. Then it was Salesforce. I'm like, okay, not as bad, but still not great. I was like, do we have a new rocket out? Did somebody make a new rocket? A new spacesuit that you can buy? Can we buy the Matthew McConaughey spacesuit? I mean, that'd be sick. But a lot of car commercials, which is, typically, you put Super Bowl and ads together, you're going to get car commercials, right? Super Bowl and car commercials, you put two and two together, they're the perfect marriage. But I was actually very surprised that there was a lot, and I mean a ton, of advertising and promoting and just commercials in general about electric cars. Like a bunch of brands I never heard of, or a couple actually, a couple Chevy ones, and then I think that there was maybe a BMW one, but a lot of electric car commercials. And I was just thinking like, damn, they're really pushing these electric cars. I mean, the way gas is so pricey, it's like, Jesus Christ, this is a lot of like, I mean, I'm wondering, like, are we really there yet? Like, can an electric car that is not a Tesla, right, that's made by Chevy or Ford or, anybody else, any other company, like, what's their, like, mileage, like, per battery life? Like, what's that at? Because even as much as I hate paying for gas and how much, gas, if you run out of gas, it's very bad. Like, it is very bad. You have to probably go to a gas station or, call somebody to help you, get a jerry can and go fill up your tank. I mean, what if you didn't have, what if you ran out of battery in, like, the country or, like, the desert, and nobody can bring you any gas, nobody can bring you a battery that's, big enough to essentially power your vehicle? Like, what happens? Like, I'm just kind of like, I'm on the more of the reliable like side of electric cars. Like I've always thought that they would look pretty cool, especially like Teslas and all that. The Cybertruck, even like the new like Silverado. Even though I don't like that exterior design, I think that it probably look awesome inside. I just feel like I don't know. I'm not quite there yet. Maybe in like 15 years, when we really have perfected it and like gotten like these gigantic batteries that fucking last like hundreds of miles, maybe I'll eventually probably will have to get one of those if they actually outlaw gasoline and all that. But for the time being, I'm like, I don't know if I trust that yet. Not necessarily like I hate batteries and I only prefer, I am a big oil guy. No, it's just not. It's just I'm not really sure like how not safe, but like how reliable that is, and like does the battery deteriorate over time? Like how is that like? I mean, if it's anything like a phone battery, which it probably isn't. I'm just making a comparison. Phone batteries tend to die, after like what, a couple years. Like they don't hold the charge as well as they used to. And if it is your car, going to be using it every day, and I'm assuming that you kind of have to, you might have to charge it like every like what, a couple days. I mean, like I think like one of the Tesla models is like 250 miles, I think, for every charge. I mean, like if you commute to your job, if you don't live in, if it's kind of far away from where you live, it's like, ugh. What are the charging ports like? Are they all adaptable to your car? Like I just, I'm not really. It's also my fault too because I don't do a whole lot of research on these because I got a Honda, right? A Honda Civic, beautiful car. I love it. Very reliable, good on gas. Synthetic oil, great mileage. It can get up there. It's pretty fast. It's got a sport mode. It's got heated seats. I love it. It's got Apple CarPlay, which is a must now. I mean, if you think about it, you ever walk in or sit in a car that doesn't have Apple CarPlay? Oh my God, it's like so, prehistoric, so last generation. It's just so, it's so old. It's like you got to connect with Bluetooth, and that's it. You can only use it on your phone. It's like, damn, Apple CarPlay. You can use it on the console. You can have Siri hooked up. You can have all this ready. You can have Siri with the Bluetooth, I believe, too. But like, it's just more integrated with the Apple CarPlay. And then the maps on there on the side, it's like, damn, this shit's good. Like, a couple cars I've been into, like, my sister has a car that's just not, it looks good on the outside, but the inside is just like low tech and everything. And that's kind of like what happens nowadays. The car models are so based off of like the outside, the engine, and then inside, like what do you got? What features you got inside? Like, because there'll be like a model, like the one I got is like the tech model, so it's got like all that shit, heated seats and all that, a camera, rear view camera, side view camera, or a blind spot camera, which is sent as a godsend because the amount of times that I use that blind spot camera, besides like looking over your shoulder, it's just far better because you can actually see everything on that blind spot, everything, and you got like a little indicator marker to like show your space, how much space you have in between cars, so you can make a smart merge. It's like it's unbelievable. Technology is great in that sense. And for some cars to just come out with like none of that, bare bones, nothing, buttons still, no touchscreen, which buttons are fine with me, but just like not a whole lot of functionality inside. It's like, oh man, I got to get one of these new techie cars. It's not even like that new either. My car's like I got it back in 2017, right? And it's still like top high end, pretty good, up to speed with everything that I think comes out like in like right now. It's like 5 years old, and it still runs like a charm. It's still great. Also, Honda, not a sponsor. Super reliable cars. You want a reliable car, doesn't break on you. Or either Honda or Toyota. Those boys make some very reliable cars there. Now, I can't say the same thing about Chevys. Can't say the same thing about that because we used to have a Chevy, what was it called? Equinox. And by golly, like it was a work car. Like my father had it for a while. Would drive it all over state, right? He had to like drive places for his work and all that, like do a lot of jobs and do a lot of stuff and travel a lot. And he upped the miles on it pretty big, like a lot of miles, a ton of miles. And it was a work car. It's like, okay, well, you're going to pay for all this. You pay for the maintenance and all that, I believe. And once after he got a new car And then he, like, essentially we kept that car to drive around and to use. After that, it just kind of went downhill. It got so bad. Like, the transmission was bad, the oil was bad, it kept eating oil. Just not a very smooth ride either. Like, it lost a lot of its speed. I feel like you would give it gas and it would just like it's just bad. And we took it to all these places, and they always say like, oh, nothing's wrong with it. We ran it through the computer. It's fine. And then after a while, my brother, like, I told this story before. He was driving it, taking our little brother to school one day. He dropped him off, and I think when he parked the car or something happened, he said he felt like something fell out of the car, and he actually got out of the car and looked underneath to see if like a giant piece of metal had fallen out of the car. And then he said, I didn't see anything, so he took him to school, and then he heard like rattling, and it started to smell bad. And then he drove it, and he barely made it to the what's it called, the mechanic shop. And then it was like, oh, transmission fucking blew. That's why he was smiling, the transmission fluid. I was like, oh, God, dude, that sucks. But, that was just one experience with Chevy. But I've also had, friends who had Chevys and also report, like, it's just not very good. There's not very, like, reliable cars. And that was, I think, back when they made, and I think they've discontinued the Malibu, the Cruze, the Equinox. They kind of went back to trucks and SUVs. It kind of, Chevy knew, like, all right, we're really known for trucks and bigger cars. Let's not focus on these, sedans and, Traverses and crossovers. Like, let's just focus on what we're known for. And I've never driven a Chevy truck or a, I had a Trailblazer back in the day, which lasted pretty long. It was a 2006 model. It wasn't terrible, but it's old. So it's like, all right, whatever. But, yeah, I'm not, ask me in a couple years about electric cars, maybe in the next 5, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to buy one right now. Or I'm about to go purchase one, or make it, go see if I can get one. Like, I'm sure it's going to happen. It's probably going to happen sooner than we think. But, it's just, only a matter of time before, like, everybody's got an electric car. And, if they're making them good, then they've got to be good, right? If they're actually like putting all this money in these car companies to make electric models that are just electric, like as far as I know, they're not gas and electric. I remember like back then, like there was like Priuses that were hybrids where they had electric and gas. I think like gas was like maybe like the last resort if they needed to, but yeah, at least they're making them cooler now. Like electric cars are now like besides that Chevy Silverado, like they're pretty cool now. I remember back then you can only get like the coolest electric car you can get. Not even like coolest, but like the least lame was a Prius because they had those smart cars that were like so compact and like so nerdy. Like who the hell would drive this? I remember like when I was in high school, there was a history teacher that had it. And he was a big-time loser. Big-time loser. I never had him, but I saw his car, and I'm like, dude, are you not, like, embarrassed of what you're driving? Like, that, you're taller than that thing. Like, which is, just to say for, like, most people. But it was, like, so tiny. It was, like, a little, it looked like a soda can. It's, like, red and all that, and, like, red and white, I believe. It was very loserish, very, very weenie, but, he kind of looked like a nerd, so I was like, I kind of expected. I know I'm kind of being mean there, but it was just like, of course you would drive that car, not like try to like shame him or anything, but it's like, oh yeah, I expected that. I expected that out of you. And you spend all day grading papers. No wonder you hate your life. You bought that shit. Could you imagine that? Being a teacher? How lame that would be. Like you'd have to teach a class and hope these kids remember what you taught them, whether it be math or English or science or history or I don't know, economics or civics. And like, I hope these kids remember what I taught them because I have to give them a test. And if they don't pass, I'm fired. Could you imagine that? Where I'm not looking in the good eye with the board of the school. I could not imagine that. I couldn't, actually think that I would actually teach a class. I kind of, I've always had, thoughts, like, if I could ever be a swell teacher, if I could ever teach a class, and I feel like I could. Like, I feel like students would enjoy my enthusiasm for like a subject, like I feel like I would also need to have like true passion to teach that. I'm not going to go into it and be like, I'm just going to be a teacher to just, get a job and that's it. And they'll hire me because they probably need somebody. So, trying to scoop by and like, nah, I'm going to teach a class because I enjoy the subject. I enjoy, I guess, motivating people. I mean, you also kind of got to be like that, right? Like a teacher is almost like kind of like a life coach in a way. Like, they grade your papers and they give you exams and they'll tell you what you're doing wrong and what you're doing, what's right too. But it's also like you're preparing these guys for life and like what they got to do in the real world, like getting a job and stuff like that, and being able to communicate with people on getting tasks done, not being late, and also like having their backs in certain situations and wanting to help them if they're struggling and stuff like that, and not being biased to a couple, some people, like, hey, this guy does well in his tests, I'm gonna, take it easy on him because he's doing well. It's like, nah, we can't. That's like, why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't like a big teacher's pet as when I was younger, and I also wasn't like a dick to them either. But I was like around the middle, and I wasn't very good in school. I didn't really care for school until I got to college. But it's just like now you think about it, you think about how kids probably treat students now, and hearing stories from other people about that, and even like just back then when like some freaking teachers would even vent to some other periods about like, oh my gosh, I got to go teach third period now, they're so terrible. It's like, wow, really? It's like, do you tell other periods this too? It's like, oh yeah, I tell every period. It's like stuff like that, it just happens. I mean, it's like you got to have a real passion for that, helping people, motivating people, stuff like that. I always thought that I could be like a coach too. Like I was good enough for a coach. Baseball, football, basketball, soccer. I feel like I could get, enough out of people. I don't know anything about playing the sports, but I feel like if, I know enough that I could get a team to win games. I feel like I'm that kind of motivator. I feel like I've had, I feel like I could actually do that job. Now, of course, a lot of people think that we can do many, many jobs. I've said like, oh, dude, I could act. That's easy. Are you kidding me? Meanwhile, like I'm in like my 5th audition, I would like fail every time, forget all the lines, just freeze up and, panic and all that. I think of a lot of things like that. Could I have done that? Could I have done this? And I'm always like, yeah, I could have. It would have taken me a while, but I think I could have. But yeah, gotta really enjoy what you want to do. Like you can't half-ass teaching, you can't half-ass coaching, you can't half-ass acting. You're gonna get found out pretty quickly that this is not meant for you, or you don't really like it. And I guess that's what life is all about: is figuring out what you're good at and what you're not good at, and sticking to what you like and what what you enjoy, I guess. So I was thinking that we could talk about what's happening in Ukraine. No, I'm kidding. We'll talk about this thing called story living. You heard of this yet? Probably haven't. So Disney, the company, owners, or they run, the movies, Disneyland, all that stuff. Them, Lion King, Hakuna Matata, those guys who make that shit. They want to make a community, like a small community, located in the Coachella Valley in California, and they want to make it like not just any community, but a Disney themed community. With I've seen the concept art; it looks pretty sick. Looks pretty cool. I'll say this. It's like you can see like there's mountains in the background. There's like a desert all around it, and in the center is like this not gigantic, but this big oasis of like little houses and pools, and a giant pool in the middle with a beach type of vibe, and a fun family friendly vibe. All Disneyfied. It's very early in the process. Like there's just a little bit of concept art that you could check out, but it's like, I mean, what are the qualifications for that? Like, do you have to be some Disney nut to do this? Like, I know, like, there's a ton of people out there adults mainly that I know that are just insane about Disney and everything about it. It's kind of embarrassing you to talk to them about it. Like, oh, I'll go to Disneyland like 6 or 5 times a year, and I love it. It's like, really? You actually like that? Like, okay, well, I guess you do you. But it's always kind of like weird because I just feel like Disneyland and all that is like, it's cool every once in a while. Like for me, I'm like, it's like, yeah, it's fun to see, the Matterhorn again, the castle. Yeah, it's all right, cool. Indiana Jones ride is cool. Space Mountain is sick. But after like one day, I'm like, all right, I'm good. Let's go home. I'm done. I've spent enough money. Let's get out of here. But there's people that just love showing up. It's like their greatest pastime is like every other week they go to Disneyland and just like enjoy themselves. Like it's like they feel like they're like it's their second home. It's like, how did this happen? How did you being at Disneyland feel like it's your home? I truly don't understand that. And I feel like this place, this community, which is like I believe the first of many, I would assume, from Disney, is going to be like, their actual like, oh, I want to live there. I want to be, amongst Disney and his, inspirations. And it said that that's where that area is where Walt Disney would go to think about new ideas and new stuff like that and get creative in that area. And it's like, oh, we're making this in a place where Walt was, this was his think tank essentially, and where he came up with all these ideas. It's like, Jesus Christ, they can't get enough of this guy, Walt Disney. That they're making it in the exact location of where he would just think at. It's like, Jesus, man. These Disney people can be kind of crazy. Like, and also, like, what's your allegiance? Like, how invested do you have to be in Disney? Like, are they going to check your records? Like, were you at the premiere of this movie? Did you see this many times? Did you buy enough merchandise? Did you spend enough tickets? It's like, what? I mean, obviously, that's probably, like, not going to, really matter as long as they buy the property there. But, I just feel like it's going to be like a kind of like a Disney cult in a way. They build their own community because they're so, they're so invested and so like, just they love Disney so much that they just want their own little community. Like I just never would have thought like anybody that would ever happen. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, this also because of the concept art and like, what their vision is, it's probably gonna look, freaking cool. I mean, if it doesn't look cool, it's gonna be, pretty bad. But yeah, just like I saw that and I was like, I cannot believe this. And I was thinking like, I think I might know a couple, not no, but I've seen a couple people that, they might live there. They might be like, oh, we're gonna go to, live at Disney community, and that's gonna be where we live now. And we're gonna have 3 square meals where we pray Father, Son, the Holy Mouse, and yeah, that's it. That's our thing. And then after that, we're gonna go to the Mickey Mouse headed shaped pool, and then we're gonna go to the Goofy or the Donald Duck Theater, and then we're gonna go watch The Incredibles 3 for the 5th time, and then we're gonna go watch we're gonna go to the Millennium Falcon bar and have some drinks and listen to the Cantina. And then we're going to go to, after that, we're going to go to Winnie the Pooh's park. That way we can have our children just swing on the swing set, the Piglet and Eeyore swing set. And then we're going to go home. And, it's so funny because we live on, get this, Chippendale Avenue. We'll see you there. I live on 123 Chippendale Avenue. And where do you live? Oh, I live on 643 Little Mermaid Drive. Yeah, I'll meet you there for... some honey at Winnie the Pooh's honey jar. It's like, oh my God, I can't imagine that because there's not a whole lot there that they've shown us. So I'm just imagining like it's gonna be all that. The road's gonna have like little designs of like Mickey and Minnie. The stop signs aren't even gonna be octagons or whatever the fuck they are. They're gonna be Mickey Mouse heads. Those are the stop signs. Like it's gonna be so off. So over the top that it's just going to be, it might be too much, I think. But those Disney fanatics, those Disney adults that just, they never stop and they make it their mission to go there like 20 times a year. Like, good, that's for you. Go move there. And then, it's not too far from Disneyland. Just live there. That'll be the perfect community for you. Not going to bash you. Not going to kind of already have made fun of you, but like, I'm not going to, make it personal. If you're willing to spend that kind of money, that's for your happiness, go right ahead. Do whatever the hell you want. I don't care. It's going to be fun, though. It's going to be, just have fun. If you want to eat Mickey Mouse patties for the rest of your life, go ahead. Just be aware that there's also going to be tourists there, too, because they are thinking about building like a hotel within that community. So that's going to be like, the people that don't really want to commit to getting a house on Mickey Mouse Street are going to be in that hotel like maybe a couple miles away. Maybe you just like be waiting there, depending on maybe even a couple blocks away, depending how big the actual, I think it was like 618 acres worth of property. I'm not sure how big that is in miles. So, it's probably not even that big. But, there's going to be a hotel there. I wonder if like they'll make like, like instead of like a monorail or like a train, they'll put like a roller coaster that just goes across throughout the entire property, the entire community for you to, do that. Also, like, are you going to have like Disney school? Are you going to have like, what's your literature going to be like? Going to read books on, I don't know, Fox and the Hound, Pocahontas? Is she going to be, part of the curriculum? What's going to happen with that? I doubt that there's going to be a school or anything like that, but it's just like, you kind of think, how big is this community going to be? What's going to, be there? And I was just like, this is, I'm not going to check it out. I really don't want to, be a part of that. If I may, not to say I don't hate Disney. Like, I don't hate Disney. Don't hate them. I just like feel like Disney now, when you're 28 years old, no longer a kid, is like, all right, I can handle a little bit every so often. I don't need it. It's not like my drug, my addiction. I need to be at Disneyland and be on Main Street to be happy. No, I'm okay. I'm fine. Moving on, though. Kind of staying in the realm of entertainment, but not Disney. Talk a little bit of Halo. Halo, the TV series. Now, that's coming out in March, right? Next month, on March 20th. And I was excited when the first trailer dropped. I was ready. I'm like, okay, this looks pretty solid. I'm interested. I could have liked a little bit more, but we'll see. Maybe they're saving their good stuff. You always got to kind of, think that maybe a show just doesn't want to show you everything, or doesn't want to tell you everything because it's, they're waiting for it to come out, and that's how you first see it. I appreciate that. But a couple days ago, the Paramount, it was like a but investors meeting was happening, and they already announced season 2 of Halo, which to me, in my opinion, was like a good sign, because look, there's a lot of shows out there that come out that you have no idea about. Like a lot of shows that come out and you maybe hear one thing about them, like, is that good? Like, oh yeah, it was good, but it got canceled. Or, yeah, I went a couple episodes and it went to, it was on ABC for a couple episodes and it went to Hulu or something like that. Like they pull it very quickly. So, there not to be a single episode out on this Halo show, not one episode, and already getting, essentially greenlit for a second season, like it's gonna happen, is very positive. It's very assuring, and it's very, for me as a fan and somebody who's actually just generally excited about this and wanting to see it, like this is good news. This is good news because it feels like to me, it's like they're confident in what they have, and they've seen like the reception, they've seen all this, they've taken everything into consideration about what they've made, who's involved and all that. They want to see the like I said, the reception, and it's like this is a good sign. This is great, actually. Like there's nothing that, for me as a TV watcher, wants more than the brand that it's being put on, to be confident enough to greenlit the second season before it even comes out. I can't really think of many shows that have gone down that path, and we really regret that. I don't really think I know many. Let me think. No, I'm not really sure. But usually, like, they get the green light within, maybe the first couple episodes, midway through the season, then they'll get greenlit. I know also that Peacemaker just got greenlit for a second season, like, very recently, so like that's also very good. And also like it took like maybe 7 episodes for that to be a concrete report that yes, season 2 is happening. So for this to happen before season 2 drops is bravo Paramount Plus, bravo everybody involved, because that's just, it feels like they really think that this could be something that's special for Paramount. Because I've been watching a couple shows lately and just kind of thinking about like what different what streaming service has what in their terms of like their big shows. Like Netflix has The Witcher, which is one of their bigger shows. HBO has Game of Thrones and the Game of Thrones prequels and all that coming out. Apple has Ted Lasso. That's like one of their biggest like viewership shows, I would say. And they're gonna get a couple more big ones. I know like C is a pretty good show, I've heard. And what else is out there? Disney's got Mandalorian and all that, and Boba Fett and all Star Wars. So they're going to have Obi-Wan too. So they're going to have some big primetime shows. Amazon's got The Boys and all that. So like, yeah, they needed like this big show, like this big property, this big IP to really like nail down like their like gritty sci-fi drama type of, I guess, checkbox you could say, or like they're just their big market show. And I feel like that hopefully that's what it becomes, and it does become a big show that people like and that people want to keep watching. Because I mean, I think like if a lot of people got into Halo, that they'd actually probably really enjoy it for the story that it is, and then like the conflict and like the what happens in the show, and even in the games too, that's being translated to a show. I think that it's really cool. So that brings a lot of hope, and I think that's gonna bring, not only game people, they're gonna be kind of like, oh, this is good news that it got greenlit for a second season. Was not expecting that so soon, but who knows? It could also mean that I don't want it to be bad, but it's something, never say never, right? I mean, there's always a possibility of it being like not great, but I'm very excited. I'm very ready for it, and the fact that it's coming in March. It's already next month, man. Like it's like a little bit over a month away. Like I am ready to see this. And I'm just like, what was it like back in January when we first got our first like trailer during the AFC Championship game? Like, oh yeah, let's check this out. And it's already going to be almost a month since then. So time is flying by when the show's going to happen. It's going to hit, and you're going to be like, oh shit, it's already going to happen. It's like, yeah, let's go. Back on the TV, a little bit more about TV. With the Super Bowl happening, and with trailers coming out, and with new movies coming out, finally getting their their ability for them to show new stuff, like new movies and all that. Sonic is coming out as well. There's going to be a new Sonic movie, which we already know of. A third one has already been greenlit by Paramount, and even a Knuckles TV show with Idris Elba. I mean, Jesus, man. Like, they must be also very confident in that as well. Because I enjoyed the latest Sonic movie back in 2020 before the pandemic happened. I thought that it was actually pretty entertaining and pretty good. For a video game adaptation. It was not terrible. It was not Assassin's Creed. Yeah, whenever that came out, back in 2015, 16, I don't remember, but it was not that. It was far better than that. And I think that you also really nail like the younger audience as well, because Sonic is such a beloved character by both young and old. And how can you not like Sonic? He's like a little blue hedgehog. He's got like his friend Tails and his rival Knuckles. It's like it's fun to see that. It's cool. And so that just got bigger than I thought it would that quickly, and potentially even more series and more spin-offs with that. They can make a Tails movie, Knuckles movie, whatever. I mean, they can do whatever they want with that. It's a well-known IP, so it's like shit. They kind of struck a gold mine there. And Sega's also like 100% behind it. It's like, Jesus, man. I mean, I was not expecting for Sonic to be like a big multiverse, like cinematic universe type thing. But I mean, I guess if they're confident about it, then why not, right? Go for it. Check it out. See if you'll, strike gold. I think that they will, though. I mean, like, again, Sonic is liked by a lot of people. It just never really got the justice in the later games than I think that it, has deserved. I mean, there's been a ton of Sonic games that were like, good back in the day, but like for the most part, I think that if you talk to the Sonic community, they think that the games nowadays are not probably as well liked as the ones that have come out, years ago, decades ago. And they really like this new movie really kind of, struck a chord with all types of Sonic fans. So it's like, yeah, I mean, why not? It is the highest or the biggest grossing video game adaptation movie of all time. Now, that might be shattered by Uncharted coming out this week, but, you never know. You never know. I mean, I think that Sonic is just fun to watch. Voiced by Ben Schwartz in the Blue Hedgehog, it's fun to watch. It's funny. It's like an animated movie. Like you watch a movie about, I don't know, anything. When you have like great talent like Ben Schwartz voicing Sonic and then Idris Elba being Knuckles, I mean, that's just kind of comedy gold right there, right? No, I mean, like they're not like, Idris is not like a well-known like a comedian, but he's a well-known actor, and it's like it kind of is funny to see that he is voicing Knuckles, but it also fits perfectly with that character that they're pretty much portraying. Like, yeah, I'm big bad, I'm Knuckles, I don't need you, Sonic, F you. It's kind of fun. And then you build like a rivalry within the movies and the shows and all that, and it makes for people to want to come back and watch more shit. And then you got Tails, who, I don't know much about Tails. It's just like he's kind of a weenie, I guess, at least in the trailer kind of looked like a weenie, but I'm not sure. He's a fun looking character as well. I mean, there's a fucking fox with two tails who can fucking fly. Yeah, that's pretty cool too. But besides that, also in the Super Bowl, what happened was the first trailer, the first look for Amazon's The Lord of the Rings of Power came out. That dropped in the third quarter of the game, towards the end of the third quarter. And we saw it. It's a minute long, and it's a very fast cut trailer. Not a whole lot of story in it. Not a whole lot of explaining of what's in it too. Kind of just like, this is what it looks like. This is what's, here are some characters that you should, to look out for in the show, and to see who they are. They got a little bit of a narration in the background about like, a big grand journey and a big world out there. And I was like, okay, I enjoy this. This is cool. Got a bunch of really cool shots of, vistas and areas and people on horses and people in a battle, what it seems, and people scaling mountains and gorgeous waterfalls, and looks like a gigantic kingdom of some sorts, like on the ocean. It's like, wow, this looks really neat. I'm actually excited. This looks pretty cool. And there's like obviously like a ton of like backlash as well. People on Twitter, people on Instagram, people on Reddit, people on YouTube comments. I mean, there's a lot of like hatred as well, as I guess you could say, or a lot of disapproval for what they saw too. People are like, this looks very fake. It looks like, I've seen people say it looks like The Hobbit. People say it looks like they're not like what Tolkien imagined. It's like, are you an expert on Tolkien? Like you can have your opinion on that, but I feel like a lot of people are they feel like they're so like not entitled, but like they feel like they know more than what Amazon knows, which could be true, could be not true, and they're basing it all off of like a minute supercut trailer where you don't really see that much. Don't really know that much. That might be my biggest gripe about it, is we don't know a whole lot about it, which I can totally understand. It's coming out in September, on September 2nd, so it's got a little bit of a ways to go before we can really gear up for it. But I thought it was, pretty cool. I mean, like, it is thousands of years before Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So, like, I would just automatically imagine things look a little bit different. Landscapes might look different. People, how they dress might look different. Different types of creatures may be different. Like, there's a scene where you see like a cave troll type of beast in like a cave, I would assume. It's like, I mean, like, I haven't seen that in Lord of the Rings, but it looks cool. I mean, I'd check it out. But yeah, of course people were going to have their opinions about it. Of course people like have their gut reactions and their instant takes and prisoners of the moment of like, seeing stuff very fast. And I do agree. You see a lot within a minute and you don't really know a whole lot. Not much is explained either. So I could understand why a lot of people might be a little hesitant about the show. I am too. Don't worry. Like, I want it to be a good show too. I haven't seen a whole lot of Amazon TV shows. I've only seen The Boys really, and a couple. Have I even seen? I want to watch Jack Ryan. I want to watch Reacher, but I haven't seen those yet. But I've heard like The Wheel of Time is another show on Amazon that's also based off of fantasy books. I've heard mixed things about that as well. Obviously, I'm sure like, hardcore book fans are going to be ripping it apart because it's not like the book. And like, you already know my piece about book guys and movie guys and TV show guys. I feel like the anger for those is very, it's just, you're making an adaptation of a book. And not everything could be like the book. There's just some things that work in books. They work well in books. They just don't work well in movies or TV in the visual format of media. And I'm not saying that they hate them. Like the book, the show people don't hate those ideas. It's just they know kind of what plays to audiences, in the masses, not people who don't even know much about it either. Like there's things that just don't really cross over to the visual media as they do well in the book media. It's just some things. Other books like, the Lord of the Rings trilogy books, a lot of that stuff that happens in the movie doesn't happen in the book. There's a lot of things that were cut to make the movie. Like the character of Tom Bombadil is cut from the entire trilogy in the movies. There's a lot of things that are not in the books, that are not in the movies that are in the books. I think that the Eye of Sauron is not even a tower in the books. It's just like a thing like that's always lurking, I think. I mean, I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure, but I've heard like the actual tower of the eye with the Eye of Sauron is not actually a thing, like a visual thing in the books. And there's a lot of things like, the sacking of the Shire that's in like the Return of the King book. That's like the end of the trilogy. That's not even in the movies. So it's like, I mean, we live in an age of where the internet is like so, people can voice their opinions. They can say whatever the hell they want and bash things and make friend groups and, get people to join their side so easily that this stuff just kind of, spreads like wildfire essentially. So let's just ease a bit. Let's just calm down about, our opinions right now. I mean, you can have them, sure. But let's save the full judgment. The full judgment will come when the show comes out. I mean, we've only seen a minute of footage. I know it's not much to base off of anything, but it's just kind of to like wet the palate, just to get an idea of what it's going to look like. And I know it's not going to be like the Middle Earth that you saw in 2001. Of course not. It's thousands of years before that. You gotta think about that. There's been thousands of years since since Frodo got the ring, or Bilbo found the ring. So things are going to look different. They just are. That's just how things work. So I'm not worried. I'm not mad. I am curious. I do wish it showed more, but I'm open to it. I want to see it. If it's good, it's good. If it's trash, it's trash. I mean, that's going to be the main thing. When it's all said and done, is this show going to be a banger, a good show, or is it going to be bad? Now, my initial thoughts would be, well, they're putting a lot of money into this. I've heard reports and things that they've have like I think 5 seasons planned, and the cost to produce 5 seasons, I've seen $1 billion to produce 5 seasons of this show. Now, I don't know if it's going to be only 50 episodes. I think that's like the what they were saying, like 50 hours of TV, something like that. I don't know if it's going to end after 5 seasons. I'm not sure, but 50, 5 seasons to cost $1 billion. I mean, like, they're shelling money at this left and right. Like, they want this to be the next, big thing, I guess. They don't want it to be Game of Thrones. They made it very clear, which I enjoy, because the Game of Thrones is not Lord of the Rings, and Lord of the Rings is not Game of Thrones. There's they're both fantasy. There's just like a different spirit and a different like tone in both properties. That is just, one is not the other. And for everybody to, say like, oh, they want to chase the next Game of Thrones because, Game of Thrones was such a big hit. Well, it was a big hit because it was like very dramatized, like more than any other fantasy property has ever been dramatized, if you think about it. Not a whole lot of fantasy really in Game of Thrones. Like, you can probably just think that, like, the White Walkers are pretty fantasy, the dragons, obviously, but there's not a whole lot of dragons throughout the show where you see them just sweeping and destroying people. That's all like more towards the end and somewhere in the middle, but not a whole lot in the beginning. And like there's no like really any like trolls. The magic is, I don't think there's really any magic really. There's not much magic. There's a little bit of weird science, a little bit of weird stuff with, obviously the Arya stuff is kind of like, mystical and all that, and, a little supernatural. But like, other than that, it's like not the most fantasy-y of the fantasy universes. I mean, Lord of the Rings isn't even that fantasy either. There's not a whole lot of magic. There are wizards like Gandalf and Saruman, but it's not like they're like Harry Potter, like making things float and making things vanish into thin air, or changing people's appearances. It's not like that. So they never really were that big into the whole magic fantasy side, and I guess like they want to make it clear, the Rings of Power show, that it's not going to be like Game of Thrones, which I know I'm all for, because keep your own identity, keep it you. You don't need to copy everything that Game of Thrones does. You don't got to copy anything that, The Witcher does. You do you. You got your own universe. You can do whatever the hell you want. But yeah, it's going to be the battle of the fantasy shows. Who's got the best one? I know HBO's going to have House of the Dragon, which is I'm excited for. I'm so ready for that. Netflix has The Witcher, and now Amazon has Lord of the Rings. So, I mean, it's just going to be the battle for the fantasy shows. Now, if Disney were to smarten up and play fantasy with these guys, I know they got Star Wars and Marvel, but if they wanted to, I believe that they own the Chronicles of Narnia. So they could potentially dip their toes into fantasy and bring back the Chronicles of Narnia. Now, the Chronicles of Narnia, from what I've, read one book of, and like half of another book, but I've seen the movies. It's a lot more, I guess, for kids, I guess you could say. Like, there's not a whole lot, like Narnia, if you remember the books or the movies, not a whole lot of people in that universe, a lot of like animals. Like, there's a lot of like centaurs and fawns and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So maybe it probably wouldn't be like anywhere close to Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or Witcher. It'd be more for kids, which I don't know if Disney's going to be like, oh, let's make a little really kiddie fantasy. That'll get viewers. Doubt it. I doubt it. It would be cool, though. It would be cool. Maybe they switch it up a bit. They wouldn't do that, though. That's Disney. They're going to be like, this is for kids only. It's like, all right, see ya. Not into it. If they wanted to go after the fantasy audience, like if they really saw like, oh, shit, look at fucking Game of Thrones, look at House of the Dragon, look at Rings of Power. I mean, that could be pretty cool. That could be, but I see them staying in their lane and building Star Wars and building Marvel up. And not that they're already like not built up, like making them even bigger than they are before. Yeah, but I'm excited. Truly am. I there's again a little bit of me that's like, this is gonna work. Yeah, I think I might have been the most positive and the most like the most excited for that show. Maybe somebody else was, but out of my friend group, I think I was like the most interested in it, just because like I kind of like, I really love Lord of the Rings and that universe is so cool, but I'm more like, I do want to see new things. I do want to see what what that second age was like, and what that what was different back then, because I already know the Lord of the Rings story and the Hobbit story already so well that it's like, what else is out there? Like, what can you build on? Because there's already confirmed characters from Lord of the Rings that are in the show, like Galadriel, Elrond. Both we already know that are in Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. So it's like, and you get to see them in the younger version because their elves are like immortal. They can only die if they're killed. So it's like, I mean, we already know your guys' end game, right? You ride off into the, to the Grey Havens with Gandalf and Frodo and Bilbo. I mean, in the movies they do. I'm not sure about the book. And so we already know your end game, but what made you to that point? It's like, that's kind of interesting. That's like something that I would watch and I would want to see. Like, I don't know. I feel like that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, let's just save judgment. I'm doing that. I'm waiting for it to happen. I'm waiting to see it. I'm open-minded. If it's bad, I will say it's bad. I'll probably be a little biased, but I'll have to fight that because I just, I like Lord of the Rings. And check that out. See that. Hopefully it's good. September 2nd. It's coming quick. Sooner or later, it's going to be here before you even know it. Hopefully we'll have more information on that. Hopefully that we'll have more, another trailer, a couple trailers to really sink our teeth into and see what's happening in that. And look, from what I saw in the trailer, I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I'm no Tolkien expert. I'm no Tolkien scholar, but I do like Lord of the Rings. I think that's pretty freaking cool. Some of my favorite movies are Lord of the Rings. And I'm not gonna read too into cast and shit. I don't care about that. I don't care who's in it. People. Whoever plays elves, men, dwarves. I don't care. I truly don't care. As long as you can make a good show. As long as you can make a good show and make it good. Give me good characters. Give me good leaders. Give me good, inspiring characters. From description of the show is it's uplifting. It's about good versus evil. It's like, shit, bro. I'm all in on that. I'm all in. And let's go for a ride. I want to see what Amazon can really do, because I mean, I already dig the name of the show. The Rings of Power is pretty sick. It's pretty sick. I like that a lot. Now I just want to see it. I just want to see what this budget is going to give us. I hope it's good, though. Anyways, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You can follow this podcast, Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva, on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on the YouTube. Make sure you rate, review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure you tell your friends. Make sure you share the podcast. Make sure you comment and all that. It helps a lot. It feels good too. It really does, to connect with people. That's the whole mission. That's everything. This was episode 55 already. Already over half of 100. 45 more and I'm at 100. Jesus Christ. It doesn't feel like I've gone that long. It truly doesn't. But it does not feel like I've done 55 episodes. That's insane. That truly is insane. Anyways, everybody, thank you for listening. Again, thank you for watching. And I will see you guys back next week.